Coming up on Esoteric Atlanta, that this group of people who certified themselves basically through manipulating the wife who isn't the Parm Guru to sign the paper, they did the same thing, but they didn't tell anybody. So they created a board. I think they even call, from what I understand, allegedly they even called themselves the board, but they didn't tell anybody. They put themselves on a board, a secret board, to get themselves certified. Y'all, that's not a board. That's a cabal. That's the actual definition of a cabal. Let me actually look it up for you guys so you guys can see. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Cabal typically refers to a small group of people secretly united to promote their interest, often with malicious or subversive intent. It can also refer to a secret plot or intrigue. This is literally what this is. So, what they created, the board that they created in secret, where no one voted them in, and they went behind the scenes, manipulated Shruti, got what they wanted, that's a cabal. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce. A little confession. I was not planning on filming this video today. I was actually planning on filming a reaction today to Kendra and the psychiatrist, the TikTok drama today because I can relate to this story because I have been stalked by someone with a delusional disorder. However, I will be addressing that tomorrow because I feel like it's more important to talk about this today because this is something else that greatly affects my life. And I ask you to please sit through this video, and I'm asking you kindly, I don't care if you practice yoga or not. Please, if you choose to, please give us some support in this story. For those who are new here, my channel is a deep dive channel. I opened my channel in 2020 during the lockdown, and I love to research weird stories. I love a good conspiracy. We love to see what's going on underneath the surface. We've had so much fun on this channel, or at least I have. I hope you guys have too, over the past 5 years, really looking at strange things historically, all sorts of stuff. And so, most of my I don't even like using that word. Most of my subscribers here that have been around for a long time, I feel like you guys are friends now. I've gotten to know a lot of you guys off camera. I really appreciate all the cool humans from around the world that have collectively joined me on this journey. And I know that a lot of you guys are a lot like me, or you wouldn't be here. You guys love a good conspiracy as well. And you love a good whistleblower and a good scandal. And so I'm asking you to please help us with this because this story, unlike a lot of other stories that I've done my deep dives into, greatly affects me personally and greatly affects my boyfriend and greatly affects some of my dearest friends in the yoga world. And this is literally a conspiracy. Like we're watching a conspiracy happen right in front of our faces. And what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And no one said doing the right thing was easy. That's why it's called bravery. It's doing something even when you're scared. But the thing is, I really feel like, this morning we've received some threats, and I kind of laughed because for the people in the Ashtanga world, I've been dealing with this for 5 years. Like, you don't scare me. right? Like I've dealt with bigger people than you before. Like you really don't scare me. And so I feel like these 5 years have kind of prepared me for this as well. And I'm going to do everything I can to preserve the lineage that I practice, to preserve what's the right thing to do, the integrity of the practice, and to help support the Joyce family at this time. So many of you guys who have been around, you've sent me messages throughout the years thanking me for talking about spirit amongst all the deep dives, amongst all the silliness and the shenanigans we get into this channel. I've gotten numerous messages from people over the years thanking me for sharing spirituality, for sharing what I've learned in the East, what I've learned from India. And a lot of you guys have told me that it's really helped you navigate this time in our life, everything that's going around around the world, everything that's happening, this big exposure that's happening in the world where what we thought was true isn't, all that kind of stuff. And I've gotten so many messages from you guys telling me that sharing the teachings of the East has helped ground you. And I absolutely love getting those messages because that's the reason why I started sharing it. Is because this teaching, this philosophy, this theory has helped me so much in my life, even before YouTube, that it would be a shame not to share it. And I want to remind people that when I share these teachings, it's not me. This isn't my teachings. These are old teachings from the East. And so it's a pleasure to have a platform because of you guys, to have a platform that's big enough to be able to reach people and to help people with the same things that have helped me. Yeah, that's what the side of light does. The side of light doesn't hoard knowledge, it shares knowledge. My experiences in India being an authorized teacher before YouTube, if you had told me before 2020 that I would have a shift in my career and that I wouldn't be a full-time Mysore teacher anymore, I would have told you that you were crazy. I thought that this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life, but 2020 changed things. And so for the better, you learn to go with the flow, right? That's part of the yoga practice too, is going with the flow. And because of that, I've been able to open Fusion Body Studio online. We have a new name down now. So I've been able to take all these lessons and put them into an online school to really help people around the world. And I've been able to take all these lessons and modify them in modules that are easy for people who maybe don't have a teacher at their disposal, right? And so with that being said, long story short, this is very, very impactful for me. And hopefully, if you've been around for a while and you've been impacted by these spiritual teachings, this will mean something to you as well. And so I'm asking you to please support us if you can. Please share whatever you can share. Send us your prayers, send us your good wishes. So let's start with a little story time here so we kind of know what's going on because I know from that introduction if you don't know what's going on you're probably like what the hell is this girl talking about? So I practice a form of yoga that's lineage based. So what does this mean? 99% of the yoga that you see in America, that you see in Canada, that you see in Europe, that you see in Australia, China, 99% of it is not lineage based. It's called contemporary. So Vinyasa flow, for example, would be a contemporary yoga. Yin yoga would be a contemporary yoga. Um, it's not, any of these power classes. It is an offshoot of lineage. So there are only three lineage yogas left in the world. That is Sivananda Yoga, Iyengar Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. I practice Ashtanga. Sivananda is kind of dying at this point, so it's mostly just Iyengar and Ashtanga that are considered lineage-based yogas, meaning that they're pure. They come directly from India. So a lot of the contemporary stuff we see in the world, in the Western world more specifically, is not traditional to the teachings of India. Okay? So a lot of us entered yoga through non-traditional through contemporary yoga and then found our way into traditional yoga. Very few people except for my boyfriend actually just started off with traditional yoga, which is understandable because when you're a Westerner you might not know. I didn't know when I first started that Vinyasa flow isn't actually traditional yoga, that that's not what they do like in India. That there are some postures that have been added to the Western world that don't exist in traditional lineage. all that kind of stuff. So when we're looking at traditional yoga, it's a completely different world than the world of Vinyasa flow. For starters, there are no legitimate teacher trainings in traditional yoga. So in the world of Vinyasa flow, you have these like 200-hour, 500-hour yoga alliance teacher trainings. They try to rip off and do Ashtanga teacher trainings. Those are not legitimate though. In Iyengar-based yoga and Ashtanga yoga, you have to go to India. You have to spend many years in India studying at the source, at the school. We call that a shala. Shala technically translates to barn in Sanskrit, but it's a yoga school. A shala is a yoga school. It's in Mysore, India, which is in the state of Karnataka, which is like Mysore, the town is about 4 hours south of Bangalore. It's a smaller town. It's known in India for its educational institutions. There's a Sanskrit college there. There's other yoga shalas there. You have a very famous yoga shala in Chennai, kind of on the other side, which is the Krishnamacharya Mandiram. Krishnamacharya was the teacher of my teacher's teacher. So this gets us into what we call parampara, or parampari. You heard it said both ways. This loosely translates to a transmission of knowledge from teacher to student or guru to student. Now, I want to make this clear that in a lot of ways in the West, we don't understand what a guru is. So you have a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't believe in guru. I'm my own guru." And that is true to an extent. Yes, your own inner voice is your ultimately your main teacher. However, when we're starting off on the path of spirituality, if we look back at the Yoga Sutras, we're stuck in Maya or illusion. Like we don't understand what we don't understand, right? Like we don't understand that we are Prakriti, that our life is an experience, and that we are a soul watching it. And so we have to have a qualified teacher to help us basically deal with our shit. Like basically help us unwind these illusions that we have. Yeah. So we see in the world today, speaking of Kendra, which again we're going to talk about tomorrow, we see a lot of like psychosis when it comes to spirituality. Like everyone thinks they're a star seed. I mean, we're all star seeds. No one's really from this planet. That's a topic for a different day. Everyone thinks they're like the chosen one. Everyone thinks they're this. Everyone thinks they're that. That's actually all part of the illusionary world. So, like a real guru, in the true extent of the word, for a Westerner to understand, would be like a master teacher. A master teacher that also has some shamanistic abilities. But again, just to keep it very simple for the Westerners, it's like a master teacher. And when you're dealing with true gurus, you're not dealing with somebody that's going to give into your delusions. You're not dealing with somebody that's going to really even talk about the outer world or the other realm. Yeah. Even though if we look at things like yoga, which come from Hinduism, there is a huge belief in that. I think I rest assured most yoga people absolutely have a belief in God and have a belief in an afterlife and have a belief in spiritual warfare. I mean, the genesis of yoga, where we first see yoga spoken about in text, it's probably older, is from a text called the Mahabharata, and more specifically, a text within the Mahabharata called the Bhagavad Gita, which you guys have heard me talk about the Bhagavad Gita a lot. For me, the Bhagavad Gita has been one of the most life-changing books or part of a book that I've ever read. And I've read it multiple times. Right here we have Ram Dass's Paths to God, his commentary on the Gita, which is amazing. And this is where we first see the genesis of yoga being spoken about, and it takes place on a battlefield, on a war, which we're going to kind of talk. This Bhagavad Gita theme is going to weave in and out of this story. But back to this like guru mentality. Like proper gurus are not going to give into you, they're your delusions. They're not going to sit there and talk to you about your past lives. They're not going to like blow smoke up your butt and like make you think you're some magnificent star seed who's an oracle. No, they're going to keep you in your body. They're going to tell you practice, practice, practice. Just keep practicing. Where's your mind? Where's your mind? Control your mind, right? Because ultimately, in the big scheme of spirituality, is your human experience that you're having right now, even watching me talk to you on your computer screen right now, that is what your soul is here to experience, right? Your soul, my friend Cindy says this a lot. Spirit is what you are, always, forever, eternally. You are a spirit, you are a soul. But right now, you're being asked to be a human. You're being asked to be human. You're being asked to experience the friction of being a human, the polarity of being a human. And when you try to disassociate from that, when you spend too much time up in the stars, off with the fairies, you're actually building more karma for yourself because you're disassociating from your karma that you have now and from the path that your soul has asked you to take. Your body is that Shakti, the creation of that soul. So a lot of gurus, true gurus, not like they're not like cult leaders at all. The Joyce family was very good about keeping it very practical in a lot of ways. I've said this before. Sharat never knew like where we were living. They weren't responsible for getting us our apartments or making sure we had transportation. We had to do that ourselves. They didn't coddle us. They didn't, we came to the Shala, we took our classes and we went home. It was very much like a school. Okay, so I want you guys, I think sometimes because this is a spiritual practice, because there's a lot of vulnerability and a lot of trauma associated, I always tell people no one shows up to a yoga class because they're happy, right? Like nobody gets on an airplane and goes to India to embark on this journey with the main shala because they're happy. And that's actually quite a gift. At that point, the suffering becomes a gift because it's what triggers you to find yourself and to go on this. And the teacher can't, the guru can't like force you to find yourself. As a teacher, I can't do that for you. All I can do is give you the prescription. All I can do is give you the practice. That's all I can do. You're the one that has to do the work. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Okay? So when we talk about Ashtanga yoga, especially with the Joyce family, we're looking at a school. We're looking at the guru being the headmaster or the master teacher. And we're looking at something very similar to a lot of other educational institutions. So if we take spirituality out of it completely, it is literally a school. Okay. So when we look at traditional yoga, especially Ashtanga, we don't do teacher trainings. That's not something that is allowed to be done in Ashtanga. If you see an Ashtanga teacher training, it's a scam. I think Mariela and Todd are going to speak more on that later, and I'll give you guys links to that in a minute. But this is because the practice of Ashtanga itself, in particular, is extremely difficult. So again, let's take the spirituality out of it for a second. Ashtanga is made up of 6 different series. Primary, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. The most commonly practiced are primary and second series. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are the advanced series. Okay. Um, I myself have gone into third. All right. I personally don't like talking about how far I practice because it's really not important. I am authorized. So by virtue of being authorized, the students do know that I have completed first and second series. Enough and comfortable enough in this practice, at first and second, to be able to carry the responsibility to teach it. So what do I mean by that? So again, let's take spirituality out of it for a minute. Ashtanga is very physically demanding. That's why a lot of people don't like Ashtanga, is because it's so physically demanding. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for a coward. It's not for somebody who's lazy, right? Patabi Joyce had a very famous quote, I'm going to paraphrase, any man can practice yoga, a rich man, a poor man, a young man, an old man, a sick man, a healthy man. The only man who can't practice yoga is a lazy man. It is extremely difficult, this practice, physically. It changes your body. Why is it difficult? There's a reason for this because the body and the mind are the same. Yeah, the body is the mind field. So when the body starts to change, when patterning in the body change, it starts to rewire the mind. Again, and over on Fusion, our online school, Fusion Body Studio, we talk a lot about that, about how the physical body actually rewires the brain, which is why physical exercise is indeed the foundation of spirituality because it actually helps you process things like trauma. Yeah. So if you're allowed to be lazy, then change is not going to happen. And that's just the foundation of Ashtanga. If you don't like it, that's something, you can't change it. That's how this is platformed. That's the template of Ashtanga. So go do something like Vinyasa Flow if that's not what you like. That's how it is, right? And it takes many years for people to really work through this practice. So you can't learn to be an Ashtanga teacher in 200 hours. It takes years. Years. You have to, you can't teach somebody to do Ekapada Shirshasana, which is one leg behind the Eka 1 pada foot, so one foot, one leg behind the head posture in second series. You can't teach somebody to do that unless you know how to do that. Unless you understand the mechanics of the body, you've been through it through your own experience from starting to the point where you're able to get the leg back pretty comfortably. That's a hip issue, that's a knee issue, it's a core strength issue. Yeah, there's a lot going on. The flexibility of it all is actually the least important when it comes to some of these poses. We're looking at poses like Kapotasana, which is a very extreme back bend. And we look at back bending, we're looking at actually core strength. This back bending is a lot of core strength, a lot of leg strength. And so we're also, if we bring the emotions back into it, a lot of these postures are designed in a way to trigger you. Right? They're triggering you on purpose, especially second series. Primary series is yoga chikitsa, that's physical therapy. Second series is nerve system therapy. I personally, in my experience of Ashtanga yoga, went through primary series pretty quickly. I'm pretty strong, I'm pretty athletic. My hamstrings are pretty open. So it's a bunch of forward folding in primary series. My hips are pretty open. I could do leg behind the head all day and be fine. And then when I got to second series, that's when things really blew up for me because it was a lot of backbending. And so that's when I really had to face myself. So these different series bring out, coax different triggers out of different people. And a responsible Mysore teacher with experience is going to be able to not only teach the student with safety, right? We can't give a beginner. You're not going to walk in your first day of Ashtanga and be told to put your leg behind your head. That's just silly. Your first day, you're going to work on the sun salutations. So the teacher is going to ride that ride with every single student in their Mysore room. Speaking of Mysore, that's how we teach people. So we don't teach people in a lead class. We have one lead class a week. That's at the end of the week. That's lead primary. Every day, though, besides the end of the week, is Mysore. So, for example, at Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta, I think Todd he leaves here around 4:30, gets to the Shala at 5 a.m. I think technically he's open at 5:30, but a lot of students, when they know he's there, will just come in. And he's open and he stays open until about 8 o'clock in the morning. So you as a student, you come into the Mysore room at whatever time you want during this window of time and you start your practice that's been prescribed for you. So you're not coming in there and doing whatever you want. You're working one-on-one with the teacher as you develop your practice, starting from Surya Namaskar A, Surya Namaskar B, fundamental sequence, and then primary Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, first posture, primary series, go through it, and then you start learning. So you're learning one-on-one, right? So it's like you're having a private lesson with a bunch of other people in the room. Yeah. It's a beautiful way of practice. Once you go Mysore style, you never go back. You'll never want to go. In my experience, you'll never want to do a Vinyasa flow class again once you've experienced a Mysore, because that's really where you're developing a very deep relationship with your teacher. There's no music playing. The teacher isn't over there reading you poetry or giving you a theme for the class. They're literally, when I teach Mysore, I talk to my students like I'm talking to you right now or two grown adults. I'm not gonna let's look at your body. The teacher is going to actually physically hold your body in a lot of ways. We call it cranking in Ashtanga. So the adjustments sometimes are not super comfortable that you get from your teacher, but they're what's moving your body. And so the teacher has a lot of responsibility. All for this being said is that the teacher has a lot of responsibility. There's a lot on the teacher's shoulders. As an authorized teacher, I always err on the side of caution. I work my students in strength more than anything. And for example, Janu Shirshasana C, a posture in the first half of primary series. I sometimes will hold students back from Janu C for a while because of knee issues, right? I have them repeat A again because I want to make sure that their knee is strong enough. So I have to make those decisions as a teacher, as does Mariela, as does Todd, as does all sorts of Ashtanga teachers across the world. It is one of the hardest jobs you will ever have teaching Mysore. It's physically exhausting. It's emotionally exhausting. So this is a culture. We go to India for years. It takes years. You also can't, regardless of whatever past experience you have in yoga or athletics, Every single person starts over at primary series. So if we have a student who's been, because this happens a lot at AYA, we have a lot of students who were also students at BKSA Guard, and they decided to switch over to Ashtanga. They started right at primary series. They knew that though, as Iyengar students, because they were in traditional yoga as well, so they knew they had to start at the beginning of the system. You don't leapfrog. Everybody has to do the same work. Modifications, absolutely. If there's an injury or something's going on, we absolutely modify for people. We don't, but it's a work, right? You're gonna get worked over. Yeah, it's they used to call them yoga surgeries. So to be authorized, again, that takes many years. When a teacher's authorized, you don't need to see them practice. If you see somebody's authorized, you know by virtue of them being authorized that they themselves have practiced pretty far in the lineage for them to be able to teach you and teach, in that room, you're going to watch a teacher work with a beginner, and then beside that beginner is going to be somebody who's learning advanced series A, and they're equally working with both students. Yeah. So there's a lot at stake. It's very, very, very different from Vinyasa flow. Now, with Ashtanga, because this is lineage based, because we have a head teacher, and because this is dealt with parampara, which is transmission of knowledge from head teacher to individual student. So Sharat worked with me and everybody else in the world who's authorized on an individual level. Yeah, for years, he would get to know us, get to know our personalities, would get to know us as individuals. If we were taking chanting classes, if we were taking philosophy classes, Sanskrit classes, he would see that. So a lot of thought goes into who he's going to authorize. And just going there doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get authorized. In fact, I know people who've been going longer than me and they have no desire to be authorized. They just want to go and be a student. So anybody who goes to India, your first reasoning for going should be simply just to be a student. Yeah. And develop, excuse me, that relationship with your teacher. Once you are authorized by Sharat, you then have the availability in your next trip to assist him. If you want, you come in and practice, then you can assist him in the Mysore room so you can watch how he teaches and learn more. So you're continuing. We also signed with our contracts once we're authorized that we would return to India every 18 months. Now, once 2020 happened, that has definitely changed a lot because of everything that's gone on in the world. These things included, you know. So there's just a lot going on with this. Now, authorization is the first level of teaching, right? So there are about 500, I believe, of us in the world who are authorized, which is still a small percentage of people in the yoga world to hold this accreditation, we'll say. Now, the next level is called certification. And certification is a really big deal because as a Westerner, especially, there are certain levels of teaching in yoga that we will never reach because we're not Brahmin, we're not Indian. And most Westerners absolutely respect this, myself included. I've had a great life in Ashtanga yoga. I don't even desire to be certified. I'm absolutely happy being authorized. I find that a huge honor. I'm the only female here in the state of Georgia to hold an authorization. I remember walking back to my apartment in India after I had a meeting with Sharat and where he authorized me. And I remember walking just stunned and like wanting to cry because I never thought that that was, I had been told by people, I'm not saying I never thought that was going to happen because I had been told by people, oh my God, you're going to get authorized. I had been told by people a lot, but I just really enjoyed being in Sharat's presence. I enjoyed him as a teacher. I love his sister, Sharmela. If she sees this, like, I hope you're well, girl. Sharat's sister is hysterical. She's so social. I would love for her to come to America and just paint the town red with me because she's hysterically funny. I love Saraswati. I've been up into the apartment, Saraswati's house with her to have chai. Just an incredible family. And so that was always why I would come back is I really just liked being with them and what I was learning from them. On top of what I had previously learned with my teacher in America, who was one of these 47 certified people, David Garrigues. I learned a lot from him. And then taking that knowledge and furthering it in India was an incredible experience. I loved all the people, my colleagues and peers that I got to know in India and spend time with in India from all over the world. It was just a huge blessing, been a huge blessing in my life. And when lockdown happened, it was jarring for that reason because we had committed to go back to India every year, at least for a month. I have a trunk in India packed full of stuff. And then everything just changed in 2020. So, you know, with that being said, this is a lot of responsibility. And the certified people, there are certain requirements to be certified, meaning that you have to have finished third series, so advanced series A, and I think you have to be like halfway through fourth series. Again, this is not something I've ever wanted with certification personally. Um, I laugh, my students know this about me. I have a hard time watching fourth series being practiced because to me it looks like an exorcism. Um, and so for me to start Advanced Series B would probably be pretty comical because I probably would be dry heaving through most of my experience. But, that's just kind of the joke I've had. I don't really care to go into Advanced Series B. I'm happy with A. Third is beautiful, right? I'm happy there. That's where I'm happy. I've achieved a lot physically that most people will never achieve. There's a lot of demands. I mean, my good friend Chris used to always remind me of that. Like when you're in Ashtanga and you see people doing this contortionist stuff, you kind of lose your perspective. And he would always say, Bryce, the average person in Starbucks can't even touch their toes. And you can put like both your legs behind your head. Like, so taking that into perspective, I was very happy. I'm very happy with my authorization. I'm very happy I get to share this with the world. I'm very happy that I get to be a part of this lineage that I feel like as a Westerner, as a white girl from Georgia who comes from a bunch of doctors, who grew up Presbyterian, that I got the golden lotto ticket and discovered this obscure esoteric practice that has changed my life. And I feel very honored that you guys who have subscribed, that you've given me the platform to be able to help other people and share this message with other people, because to whom much is given, much is expected. So we look at certification though. Long story short, when we look at certification, we're looking at people who are really special, like really special people. And I'm not talking like the chosen one specials. I'm talking like people who have really dedicated themselves in a very integral way to this practice. These are people that have a certain je ne sais quoi about them. Again, they've gone into like fourth series, some of them into fifth series, which is even rarer. Um, I don't personally know, besides my teacher, I don't know anybody else who has ever gone into fifth series. Personally, my teacher, David Greek, and Sharat, obviously, that they had gone into that. Sharat's done all six series, but but in my peripheral life, I don't know many people. Honestly, I don't know many people in fourth series besides Mariela. Um, because it's so demanding. It's so physically demanding. So these people physically have gone through the ringer, right? They've gone through the ringer. I think of the 47 who are certified, like 17 of them are women, so it's mostly men, which makes sense because women have babies and our bodies are a little bit different, so that makes a lot of sense that it's mostly men. And they just have a certain level of it's like they've made Ashtanga their life, but they also don't take it so seriously. Like they're able to laugh about. They're very humble. Most certified people are extremely humble, very down to earth people. They're very wise people. They teach killer workshops and killer in intensives, and it's not for the physical practice I'm talking about. It's like their philosophy talks and that kind of stuff. It's always just blows you out of the water if you're able to take a philosophy intensive with a certified. I'm talking Ashtanga certified. I'm not talking about Yoga Alliance certified. That's fake, right? That's the 200-hour stuff. I'm talking about real certification from India. This is like it's like having a master's degree or a PhD, right? In Ashtanga. And so these people are very few and far between. There are many people who have practiced in the course of history, have done the physical work to be certified, but they aren't certified because they don't have the personality to be certified. They don't have the humility to be certified. So the Joyce family has taken this very seriously, like who they authorize and who they certify. Yeah. So now with this, the people who I'm going to relate this. Speaking of medicine, as I just said, I come from a medical family. Many of you guys who've been on this journey with me know that I've talked about that a lot, that my mom's family, the Bryces, which is where my first name is my mother's maiden name. That's a thing people do down here in the South. They give their kids their maiden names. The Bryces, my mother was a Bryce. She was born Alice Bryce. Her father, my grandfather, Boyce Bryce, his family, for generations, we're talking father, son, for generations, for hundreds of years, have been doctors. We have medical journals from the 1800s. I mean, it is just generation after generation after generation after generation, medical doctor, medical doctor, medical doctor. My grandfather specifically was a surgeon. He was head of surgery. My father is a veterinarian. So even my own dad, the Watsons aren't doctors, but my own father is a doctor too, just a veterinarian. Saying, I mean, he's a doctor. So I was raised in a world of medicine. And so I'm bringing this into, I'm talking about this because this kind of relates to Ashtanga and the Joyce family as well. Hear me out. So growing up, my mother used to tell my sister and me, first of all, she would tell us all the time that she did not want us to be doctors. She would say, if you girls want to be doctors, I'll support you, but it is so much work. It's long hours. And if you want to be mothers, it's going to be, she would give us that spiel like, this is enough's enough at this point. You're girls, like, but if you want to be doctors, we'll support you. We'll help you get into medical school. I'm sure it would be pretty easy for my sister to me if we ever wanted that to get into medical school because of who our family is. But nonetheless, my mother would also say something else to us a lot. She would say, I am so sorry that I don't have a business that I can pass down to you. So, what does she mean by that? Her family business, the Bryce family business, is medicine. Again, my father's a veterinarian. His business is medicine. If my sister and I wanted to be in the family business, we would have had to have gone to medical school or veterinary medical school. We couldn't just go off, get our degree, and come back and inherit a business. Not to knock that, like if your dad owns a car dealership and passes it down to you, I know there's things you got to learn about selling cars in order to inherit it. But with medicine, you can't just pass it down, right? You can't do that. You can't intern, you can't apprentice. Yeah, I mean they have residency, which is basically apprenticeship, but you have to go through years of schooling, you know. And my grandfather, when my mom is from Charleston, South Carolina, which is where the Bryces all have their clinics, but my grandfather moved to Georgia when my mother was a kid, and when he first got to Georgia, he didn't make friends right away because he was appalled that in Georgia at that time general practitioners could do surgeries. My grandfather was like, absolutely not. They need to be board certified to work on a human body in that manner. And so crazy now to think that back then that wasn't the case, but he made it so in Georgia you had to be board certified to do surgery, which he did. He made some enemies with other doctors like that, but he came into Georgia being like, we need more regulations around who can cut a body open and who can't. And I agree with that. Surgery is the one part of Western medicine that absolutely is needed. Appendicitis, there's an emergency situation, you got to take the organ out. So, my grandfather took that very seriously. And so if I wanted to be a surgeon, I would have to go through not only medical school, taking the MCAT, getting into medical school, residency, all that kind of stuff. But if I wanted to specialize in like surgery, like my grandfather did, I would have to be board certified as a surgeon as well. You can't just pass it down. Yeah. That's the same in Ashtanga. That's the same thing in Ashtanga yoga. So we're going to get to Sharat's wife in a minute. So my teacher was Sharat Joyce, and he unexpectedly passed away in November of 2024. He was 53 years old. He had not named his successor because his children are young. And as Mariela reminded me, I heard Sharat say this as well, that he did not want his children doing this. Kind of like my mom, right? Like, I don't want my children being involved in this business. It's too hard. Same thing my mom said to us when we were kids. I don't want you girls doing medicine. It's too hard. You need to enjoy your life. So I get that. But nonetheless, he still had not named his successor. Now, in naming a successor, the Joyce family, this has become like a family business for them. Yeah. However, like my family business, the Bryce family business of medicine, in order to teach this for the Joyces, they need to have done all 6 series, that which is very rare. They have to be able to have a deeper level of wisdom, education, and knowledge in order to teach us, in order to understand who to grant permission to teach or not. So when Sharat decides who's going to teach, he has the knowledge, the wherewithal to make those decisions. Just like when you go to medical school and you become a doctor, right? There's some red tape you have to go through to become that doctor, to have the DR in front of your name. There was red tape my dad had to go through in order to be a veterinarian, to go from being Mr. Watson to Dr. Watson. Yeah? Having the letters behind his name. Same thing with Ashtanga. So in the Joyce family, they have certain family members that have gone to that level of being able to manage this family business and qualify who can do this and who can't outside of their family. That is Sharat, again, my teacher, who is the one who authorized me, who passed away in November. We also have his mother, Saraswati. She is still alive and she is still teaching at the school. She now is the Param Guru. She's the only person in India right now who has the ability to make somebody authorized or certified. You also have Manju Joyce over in California. Manju is Sharat's uncle, Saraswati's brother. He moved to America. I think he married an American. I've practiced with Manju. I've met Manju. Manju is a really nice guy. But he himself can certify and authorize too. Now, Sharat has a sister. He's got nieces and nephews. He's got his children. He has cousins. Manju's children are teaching, right? So there's tons of family members. This is a family business. And a lot of the other generations, again, are working towards this and are involved in their family business. So when Sharat passed away unexpectedly, the ability to certify and authorize now is in two people's hands, and it's up to those two people who else in the family can eventually do this, can eventually take over and have the qualifications to qualify other people to teach. I hope this is making sense. So Sharat's wife is named Shruti. Shruti does not practice. She doesn't need to, right? That's like my grandmother, my mom's mom, my grandmother Maxine. She was married to my grandfather. My grandfather was a surgeon. My grandmother was a housewife, just like Shruti. And God bless her, my grandmother lived a very good life. She had a lot of money to play with and spend and have a good grand old life. She had a housekeeper, she had a yard man. My grandmother was living pretty. So was Shruti. And I don't fault them for that. I don't fault them for that. But my grandmother, like Shruti, my grandmother's not a doctor. Shruti is not a yoga teacher. She's not in the business. So riddle me this, Batman. My grandfather was like 56, 57 when he passed away, like Sharat, very young. My grandfather was diagnosed with colon cancer and then like passed away 6 months later. This was in the 80s. I was four so it was like 87 because I was four when he passed away. I vaguely have memories of him. So he was quite young. Looking back, that was quite young. So much so that my grandfather never got a chance to retire. Now, because he had cancer, obviously he did have time to get his affairs in order before he left us. And so as far as his patients and his clinical stuff, that got taken care of too. But let's just say my grandfather had not taken care of all his clinical stuff. Would my grandmother then have the right to go pick up the scalpel and take over his surgeries? No, obviously not, because she's not a doctor. What would it have been like if she had walked into the clinic the ER, the OR, and been like, all right, I'm here to take over my late husband's patients. I can do it. It's fine. She would have been arrested if she tried to do that. That's fraud. She didn't try to do that. She didn't. I'm just using that as an example. So when Sharat passed away, Shruti then has come in and has tried to take over. Now, I'm not blaming Shruti. I think Shruti got manipulated. Shruti doesn't know anything about Ashtanga Yoga. She doesn't know the order of the postures. She doesn't even understand. We know from what we've been told and what questions that she's asked people is that she doesn't even understand the difference between authorization and certification. That would be like someone not understanding the difference between an undergraduate degree, a master's degree, a PhD, a juris degree. Like she doesn't know the difference, right? So in November of 2024, Sharat unexpectedly passes away. He has a heart attack over here in Virginia. He was here in the United States. He's got two young kids. His wife now has to fly. My heart goes out to her. She has to fly across the world to get his body. She's got to take care of all of these affairs that obviously weren't taken care of because no one expected that to happen. Financially, she's fine. Like my grandmother, she's fine. But at the time, and I can see where the confusion is because students were coming into India to start the season, to start classes. So you got all these students coming into India. The head teacher is now passed away. What do you do? And from my understanding, there were some teachers that some other certified teachers that had rightfully been certified in the past that stepped up and was like, let's just run, we'll help run the Mysore classes. They weren't giving any postures. They weren't authorizing people, obviously, or sort of, they were just opening the doors and helping the students move through this grieving process. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. This is what we're dealing with. All that long story I just told you, this is basically what we're dealing with. Think of it like a medical school, right? And the head doctor passes away. Now the wife has stepped in and picked up the scalpel to start doing the surgeries. Funny, we do call them yoga surgeries because your body gets so cranked. But so all of a sudden, all these months later, we have these certifications pop up that these people are being certified. So this is the creme de la creme of this for white people, basically, is to be certified. But who signed the paper? Because Sharat has passed away. He didn't sign their certifications. The only person in India that can actually qualify this is Saraswati, and she didn't sign their certifications. So from the beginning, just that based alone, it's Shruti who signed it. Shruti signed the certifications, allegedly. But she's not qualified. She doesn't have the liability. She didn't go to medical school. She's not the surgeon. She can't pick a scalpel up. She doesn't practice. She doesn't know how to put her leg behind her head. She doesn't know how to do a back bend. She doesn't know the order of the postures. So she doesn't have the power, nor has she been given the title of Param Guru. That's the name of the head person. Like Saraswati is now the Param Guru, the head teacher, the headmaster, the CEO, whatever you want to call it. In India, it's Saraswati now. She's the only one that can sign off on someone being certified or authorized. She's it. The only one in the Ashtanga lineage that can do that. Just Saraswati, not Shruti. Shruti's not, Shruti can't do that, but she did it. She signed these certifications. On top of that, for a few of the people who are certified, they don't even meet the requirements of being certified. So they haven't finished there's a couple of them that have not finished third series. And my thing is that because they even accepted fraudulent certification, which it's obvious that this is what this is. This is fraud. This is what this is. It's fraud. Because they accepted knowingly accepted fraud, in my humble opinion, that disqualifies them from being certified to begin with. because you're showing people you don't possess honesty or integrity, which are two factors that you have to be certified. Who gives a shit what your physical practice looks like? Yes, you have to have a strong physical practice to be certified and to be authorized. However, if you have no integrity, then you're not going to be certified anyway. Sherrod would have never certified you. One of these people, Tim Feldman, has been going to India for years, like decades now. If Sherrod wanted to certify him, he would have. But you're telling me after like decades of going to India yearly and practicing with Sherrod, and Sherrod never certifying you, that it just so happens a couple of months after his passing, you were surprised with certification? We're not stupid. We're not stupid. I know common sense ain't so common these days, but I got common sense. We know that this was manipulated by a grieving widow who didn't understand that she does not have the right to sign these papers. This is dangerous because people are looking at these people as certified, but they don't have the qualifications to be certified. So what are you going to do to these certified people when you have someone show up at your shala who's practicing fourth series? And they're coming to your shala because they see you're certified, so they think you can teach them, but you yourself don't practice fourth. You understand? Like this is a problem. And because you guys have accepted fraudulent certifications, it now puts into question all of our authorizations and certifications. So what you've done is extremely selfish, extremely dishonest, and it's fraud. I've heard a story. I'm going to say allegedly in this. And this is what's so hysterical to me. Now, I've talked about this group of yoga thugs, as I'm calling them, before. In 2020, these were the bad actors of 2020 who basically acted like Yahtzees, because we can't say the N word on the Nazi word on YouTube, so the Yahtzees, when they were forcing people to get these in order to practice in their yoga shalas, which is exactly what the Yahtzees did. The Yahtzees enforced this, and they also forced the passports. Yeah? The Yahtzees did that. That's fascism. That's medical fascism. Now, here's the thing, like for us as yoga teachers and human beings with a mind and a brain and a moral compass, we were like, absolutely not. Like your body, these group of people say, my body, my choice, my body, my choice. But they have a double standard and they're hypocrites because it's only my body, my choice when it serves them politically. It's not my body. It's not really my body, my choice. Your body, their choice, right? But I'm not a doctor. I come from doctors, but I'm not a doctor. My boyfriend's not a doctor. And even if we were, we're type of people, we're never going to tell somebody what to do medically with their body. That is not my business as your yoga teacher to tell you what to do. If you want my opinion on these, I'll give you my opinion on these. You guys know what my opinion is on these. My grandfather, the surgeon, hated these. He was very anti these. My step uncle, who's an oncologist, is very anti these. So it's kind of funny how that works, that a lot of doctors are actually against these. Um, a lot of my family members did not, who are doctors, did not get these. But that's a subject for a different day. But for me, as a human being, beyond anything, I'm not going to impose my thoughts on you in my business. All are welcome. Whether you've got this or not, you're absolutely welcome into our shala because you are making your own choices for your body. For your body. It's your choice. We're not going to force you to do anything to your body medically. That's also, and I'll tag the video down below, a video I previously did that also breaks the Nuremberg laws. It's technically crimes against humanity if you're enforcing this. So it doesn't excuse the governments, it doesn't excuse the corporations, but it really doesn't excuse yoga people. Out of all the people in the world, the yoga people should have been the ones to not be practicing crimes against humanity, which is what they did in 2020. So it's very funny to me that the group who was doing these really dirty, nasty fascist things in 2020 has now also popped up here in 2025 with fraudulent certifications. This is a conspiracy. So this goes back, we heard this story, and again, more people can speak about this if they want. I talked about this on TikTok. So after Sharat, let me back up a little bit. After Sharat passed away, my boyfriend and I, he's a longtime student. He's a senior teacher. We have been talking about what do the Joyces do? And so we were actually going to fly over to India. We were talking about this, and I think we actually are going to be going to India very soon. Um, and sitting down with Saraswati, Sharat's mother, who's the Param Guru now, and saying, "Hey, here we have an idea. This is what Desa Kachar did with Krishmacharya Mandiram over in Chennai. I think it's a brilliant idea. Let's talk about this." So this practice is getting really big. The school's getting really big. There's numerous practice rooms now because it's getting so big. Why don't we, the Joyces and the Ashtanga community, create a board of directors? If Saraswati wanted to do that, we would have helped her put it out to the global world. Now, if you have a board of directors, we would have made you would have had to have been a senior teacher to sit on the board, preferably certified, or if you're authorized, you're senior. We weren't going to cut it off like Mariela's authorized and she would have been incredible on a board, right? Todd's authorized, he would have been incredible on the board, right? So you would have to have been a senior teacher, been practicing and teaching for a certain amount of years in order to be nominated to be on the board. So we would get the nominations in. We would have, let's say, 5 seats, 5 people on the board of directors, and we would have the global community vote, whether that be everyone who's authorized vote or anybody who's registered to go to KPJY in Mysore, send them out an email, have them vote on who they want to be on the board. 5 people would have those seats for maybe 2 years, and then it would switch. Then there would be a new election, and new people would be voted in to be on the board. It would be very transparent from beginning to end. The global community would have been able to vote and be involved in who is on the board, and all the board would do would be help Saraswati, help Sharmila, help the Joyces, especially in this time with Shara unexpectedly passing away, meaning that if there were some students that were Sharat students that the board feels like is qualified to be authorized or certified, the board would bring that person's case to Saraswati, talk with Saraswati, because some of these students, Saraswati's never seen them practice because they were Sharat students. Talk to Saraswati about the student, look through their files. If Saraswati said absolutely not, case closed, the person's not authorized or certified. But if Saraswati said, yeah, I think this person could be authorized or would be a good candidate, then the board would vote on whether, and then that's how it would work. And then Saraswati would sign off on that person being very transparent. We wanted this to be extremely transparent because board of directors are transparent. I have a board of directors for the Mysore Foundation. It's very transparent, and therefore it's based off of democracy. It's based off of fairness. That's as fair as we can be to keep this business going, to keep this lineage going, while the Joyces figure out where the pieces of the puzzle are going to fall now since Sharat's passing. And it would be a way for senior students to give back to the Joyces. This would not be a paid position. It wouldn't even be, they wouldn't even fly to India. They would just get on Zoom, right? From wherever they were in the world and have meetings on Zoom to discuss whatever if there was any incident that needed a public acknowledgement, if someone got deauthorized, if someone, they could be the people to pull the PR together, to be able to make those statements, to help Saraswati with that, all that kind of stuff. Just the administration work of a business. Well, so we were talking about that and presenting that to Saraswati. We had talked to Mariela about that. Well, little did we know, allegedly, that this group of people who certified themselves basically through manipulating the wife who isn't the Param Guru to sign the paper, They did the same thing, but they didn't tell anybody. So they created a board. I think they even call, from what I understand, allegedly they even called themselves the board, but they didn't tell anybody. They put themselves on a board, a secret board, to get themselves certified. Y'all, that's not a board. That's a cabal. That's the actual definition of a cabal. Let me actually look it up for you guys so you guys can see. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Cabal typically refers to a small group of people secretly united to promote their interest, often with malicious or subversive intent. It can also refer to a secret plot or intrigue. This is literally what this is. So, what they created, the board that they created in secret, where no one voted them in, and they went behind the scenes, manipulated Shruti, got what they wanted. That's a cabal. And the funny thing is, you guys, the funny thing is, I mean, it's if you've been on this channel for a while, I mean, this is typical. This is typical. These are the people that sit on their social media platforms and preach democracy. Democracy. Oh, our democracy is being threatened. Oh, but literally, they don't practice democracy. Rules for thee, but not for me. You have to practice democracy, but we're above the rules. They're also the people that sit on their social media and talk about how bad white privilege is and how bad cultural appropriation is. Do we not see the humor in this? He who screams the loudest is the most guilty. What you're doing. None of us white people would have dared do what you guys did. We were going to present a board of directors to Saraswati and let her be in charge of it and help her. She would have had the veto. She would have had everything. She could have said no. We were going to make it transparent so people could vote on it in a democracy. What you guys did is you took your white privilege to a small town in India and hijacked a lineage and signed fraudulent certifications that now cheapens the value of all of our authorizations. It doesn't just affect you. That's the thing. Your selfishness, I'm looking at all you guys, all y'all, as we say down here, your selfishness, using your very blatant white privilege, that's what you did, Tim Feldman, David Robson. You used your white privilege to culturally appropriate Ashtanga yoga. What you preach about the most, what you virtue signal the most about, social justice warrior, the most about is what you're the most guilty of doing. Just like the fascism. You're forcing these when that's literal fascism. That's what the Yahtzees did. They forced these too, and they also forced passports and medical experimentation. That's why we have crimes against humanity now, was because of that fiasco. So everything you say you're not, everything that you project onto other people is actually what you're doing. And I don't know why, after all these years of practicing yoga, you don't have enough self-awareness to realize that's what you're doing. Let's also talk about Saraswati, because this is the biggest elephant in the room. You get on your social media and you preach about women's rights. Let's hear women speak, especially minority. Now, in India, Saraswati is not the minority because she is an Indian, but nonetheless, let's just see it from your perspective, your white perspective. I'm saying this as a white person myself. You walked all over Saraswati. You stole this from Saraswati, from an Indian woman. I don't know how you justify this. You know, back in 2020, when I saw how people were behaving, and I realized at that point that I have nothing to learn from people in Ashtanga who were enforcing this. I got nothing to learn from you because you obviously don't even understand humility. You don't understand ahimsa, nonviolence. You don't understand boundaries. So I don't give a shit like how far you practice. Yeah, I can put my leg behind my head too. Big whoop. But how are you as a human being? And when I saw people's true colors come out in 2020, that's when I realized that I have to be careful with who I practice with because Frankly, it's going to sound bad, but I'm going to say it. I'm better than you. I'm better than you as a human being because what you did to people, I would never do to people. I would never defraud an entire yoga lineage for my own selfish gains. If I had been sitting in India when this happened and you guys, your little secret cabal, your insurrection, you're insurrectionist, like that's also the definition of an insurrectionist. If you had come up to me and said, our little secret board, aka cabal, because a board is not secret, a cabal is. We would like to give you certificate. We think you deserve it. I would have been like, I would have started laughing at you. I'd been like, are you, as Tamara says, what Santa sleigh did you ride in on? You don't have the authority to make me certified. You don't have the authority. Is Saraswati? Is she certifying me? Well, no, we told. I'm sorry, Shruti is not the Param Guru. Shruti does not have the liability. Shruti does not have the experience. She's not the doctor. So no, Shruti can't sign. Shruti's signature on your certifications is just as valuable as my signature on your certifications. It's invalid. Unless Saraswati, now that Sharat has passed away, unless Saraswati wants to certify me, it ain't happening. But I have integrity and I'm brutally honest. And I would never hurt Saraswati like that. Do you not realize the damage you've done? All for greed. For what? Most people outside of Ashtanga people don't even know what certification means anyway. So was it pure ego? Like I'm trying to understand this. And all these people, which I think are mostly bots anyway, who are out there supporting this group of yoga thugs, this cabal of yoga thugs, no part of this is right. There's no nuance here. What about Saraswati? Look what you did. Just the fact that you did this disqualifies you from ever being certified, ever. You failed the test. You failed the most important test because you didn't do the right thing. You stole this, and that is asteya. I mean, come on. This is the yamas, the niyama. This is like the yoga 101. Don't steal shit. Don't be violent. Don't force people to have medical experimentation, ahimsa, and oh yeah, don't steal shit. And that's what you guys did. You formed a secret little cabal to hijack, to do an insurrection over Ashtanga yoga for your own greed, your own selfishness, your own narcissism, and you pushed aside the actual Param guru. And I know there's been whispers. I've heard whispers, allegedly, I don't know if this is true or not, of your visas perhaps being revoked to get into India. And that would be, actually, I think I would, the petty side of me would enjoy that, to see that happen to you guys. It happened to Bhagavan Das. Remember Bhagavan Das? Happened to him. His visa to India got revoked for some shenanigans. So I'm embarrassed because you guys did this. I'm embarrassed because this is not how we behave as Ashtanga people. We don't come into India and dominate the culture. We don't come into India and try to manipulate the Joyces. And I personally want to apologize to Saraswati, to Sharmila, to Manju, to all the Joyces on their behalf. I am so sorry that these thugs did this to your family. I find it is such an incredible honor to be invited into this lineage by them. It is an incredible honor for me to be authorized by this family, to be given that responsibility, to be trusted, to come back to my country and America, my city, and teach people what's been taught to me. I thank you, Joyces, for trusting little old me, a white girl from Atlanta who grew up Presbyterian. I thank you for trusting me and getting to know me as a human being, not just as an American, but as a human being there to study and to learn, to eagerly study and learn. I thank you for that. And I thank you for giving me the knowledge that you gave me so that I could share it on this channel. I'm going to get emotional. So that I can help other people on this channel that watch this show. I can suggest these things to them to help them. It's because of the Joyces. It's because of Sharat. It's because of Saraswati. It's because of Sharmila. It's because of Patabi Joyce that I am able for these past 5 years to sit on my channel and help people. It's because of them. And the fact that these thugs, I don't even know how you guys show your faces. Like, I would be so embarrassed if I got caught up in this, which I wouldn't because I know right from wrong. And I know that this is wrong. Most of us do. I mean, I think we've gotten so much support. I've gotten so much support. So has Todd. I mean, we are getting messages like crazy from the global Ashtanga community thanking us for speaking up, thanking Todd and Mariela for speaking. So we've got so much support. I've heard from locals in Mysore, our friends, our Indian friends who live in Mysore, that we've become a part of them. You know, when you go to Mysore, India to study there for years, you become a part of that community. Even though you're a guest in the country, you get to know people, you end up going to weddings, you get, and we have heard from our friends over in Mysore that live there that we understand, and I want to make that very clear. We hear you for the Indian locals, and we thank you for your support. The locals know this is wrong too. Only people that think that there is nothing wrong with this are people who are low intelligence and don't under are they're either low intelligent, if they're in the Ashtanga world, they're either low intelligence or they're low integrity. If they're outside of the Ashtanga world and they don't understand it, it's because they don't understand the intricacies of how this works. So you got to give those people a little bit of space because they just don't, they're used to the teacher trainings. They don't understand like how lineage all works. So give them some space. There is no nuance here. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. I also want to acknowledge that the self-appointed monarchs of Ashtanga Yoga went on a podcast with another authorized male teacher. This male teacher, I just want to let you guys know who these people are working with. This male teacher, the podcast they went on, he has been accused, their allegations of grape, their allegations of SA with this particular male teacher. This is the male teacher who broke my sacrum. So they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to picking their supporters. And you guys accused Mariela of acting in grief, and that's why she started speaking out about this fraud. That's called gaslighting. You know it. No, she's doing what's right because Shruti cannot sign a certification. She's not qualified. It has to be signed by Saraswati, and you walked all over Saraswati. So what we are doing, but we can give you we can give you the benefit of the doubt and say maybe you acted in grief. And maybe some of you weren't thinking. Maybe you were so confused and so sad at the time about Sharat's passing that you weren't thinking straight when you took your certification. And so what we're asking you now is to give it back. Give it back and apologize to Saraswati. You don't have to apologize to us, although I do think you owe it to your students to make an apology to them as well. But give it back and apologize to Saraswati, the real Param Guru, who did not sign your papers. So I'm asking Todd Bowman of the United States, Tim Feldman of Denmark and Miami, David Robson of Canada, Susan Hounsell of Canada, sorry if I said your last name right, Susanna Finocchi of Italy. The five of you, you have fraudulent certifications. Saraswati did not sign those certifications. I'm asking you, and the community is asking you to give them back and to apologize to Saraswati. Apologies go a long way. And if you're man enough and you're woman enough and you're brave enough to do the right thing, personally, I think you absolutely can redeem yourself. But to double down and to hold on to this fraud is not doing you any favors. You're a yoga student. You know a thing or two about karma. And hijacking a lineage and screwing over a family that's been so gracious to you in the past is not going to be good for your karma. So once again, Todd Bowman, Tim Feldman, David Robson, Susan Hounsell, and Susanna Finocchi, please, please do the right thing. Please give it back. Redeem yourself. Make this right and apologize to the true Param Guru, who is Saraswati. You guys, this is so scary to me that this has even happened. This should have never happened. It really does show you who all has been actually practicing yoga these years and who's just been doing gymnastics. And at this point, like I said, I don't think these people, unless they can redeem themselves and show some humility, I just don't even think they've been practicing yoga all these years. They've just been doing gymnastics. So you guys, if you want to continue to support us, we're not going to let this go because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Please make sure that you go over and subscribe to Todd's new channel. He just opened this channel, The Confused Wanderer. That reference comes from the Law of One, where he has done a couple of episodes with Mariela. They're also, I believe they're going to be filming later this week again. They're going to be talking about this even more. We're not letting this go. We're gonna do justice for our teachers and for India. We love you, India. We love you, Mysore. To all of the cafe owners in India, to all of the market owners, to Ration Car, to everybody that works at Devaraji Market, everyone in India, we love you. We thank you so much. So much to all of the locals in Mysore who have embraced us. Meena Gupta, I miss you, Meena. Mahesh, I miss you guys. I can't wait to see you again. Um, to every local who lives in India who has embraced us Westerners as one of your own, we're standing up. We will go to bat for you in this because it's the Westerners who came in and disrupted this. And so we are going to stand up and say, no, Westerners, do the right thing. Do the right thing. Do not destroy this lineage. So make sure you follow Todd at The Confused Wanderer. Um, this is Mariela's channel, Ashtangi Mariela Cruz India. She also has a podcast. I'm going to tag all this below, guys. Make sure her podcasts are great. Um, every time she posts her podcast, I make sure I listen to them. Let me see. Okay, Fusion Body Studio. If you want to join us on Fusion Body Studio, where we do have some Ashtanga, we just opened up a YouTube channel, brand new. Paula just opened this the other day. Here is our website for Fusion Body Studio. If you want to join us over there, you can use my name, Bryce20, to get 20% off your first 6 months of tuition. You also get the first 7 days for free. So if you would like an introduction to Ashtanga Yoga and you don't live near a Mysore Shala, you can absolutely hop on our website. If you do want to find a Mysore teacher in person, you can contact me privately and I can help you with that. Let's see here. Mariela, she's got a lot. I'm not logged in, you guys. I do follow her, just when I'm not logged in. I'm going to be putting a lot of Mariela's social media up. She's got a lot of different Instagram pages for different areas of yoga that she covers. I'm going to be putting that in the description box. Also, Todd is over on Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta. I think this is, oh, I have to sign in. Okay. Okay. So make sure you are following all these people. I'm actually going to I'll do it through my phone because I want to read the open letter that Todd actually wrote to Shruti. So the open letter that he wrote to Shruti. Respected Shruti ji, I am Todd Roderick from Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta, United States. I'm a lifelong practitioner of Ashtanga Yoga and have had the good privilege of being taught by Patabi Joyce. I have been a friend of Sharat since the 1990s and have maintained deep respect for him. I'm writing this to voice the widespread concern in our community regarding the certification granted in 2025 following the untimely and regrettable passing away of Shirachi. We all know how difficult it is for you to absorb the shock of Shirachi's sudden death, and it would have been challenging to handle both personal loss and the Shala's responsibilities. You did your best level and provided excellent service to the community by opening the school immediately in the 24-25 season. Unfortunately, when you were obviously in great distress, a few seasoned professionals and business owners from the community took undue advantage of the situation. They used their influence in the management to promote undeserving candidates to get them certified. These individuals took Shirachi's absence as a blessing in disguise. Yes, a blessing. That's how bad they are going to get themselves certified and authorized. We all stand beside you and wish the following with our folded hands. 1. Please cancel the certifications granted in 2025. 2. Be more open and approachable to the community by holding open talks with members outside of the core group and reaching out to more practitioners. 3. Discard any favoritism and red tape promoted by the core management, aka the Cabal. This Cabal. Please be well informed that people have a lifelong commitment, and those who are speaking are not the enemies, but true friends of Ashtanga and SYC, the Sharat Yoga Center in particular. Please prevent a reputable school's operation from being hijacked. We still have time to go in the right direction. Please make a public statement as needed, and let's revive this beautiful institution with lively practitioners. Best regards, Todd. So for those who are saying that, well, these people that got certified, they've been practicing, they deserved it. Well, if they deserved it, they would have turned it down because they would have known it wasn't right. And if they deserved it, Saraswati would have certified them. Let's not gaslight this. Let's not be flying monkeys for narcissistic abuse. What is true is what is true, and what is factual is what is factual. Feelings are not facts. These certifications are null and void. They don't have the proper signature on them. What happened was a hijacking by an alleged secret board, which is a cabal. This is tyrannical. This is an insurrection. This is not democracy, and this is most certainly not yoga. Now, for those that want to say, oh, this is just drama, this is just drama. No, it's not. That's what narcissists do, you see. They cause a problem, and when people stand up and say, wait, oh, this isn't right, they accuse you of causing drama because you dared to stand up to them, to put a boundary up and say, this is not right. I also want to remind you again that the genesis of yoga is the Bhagavad Gita, a war. When Arjuna basically says to Krishna, I don't want to do this, I don't want to fight this war, Krishna says, toughen up, Buttercup. You're a warrior. Do the right thing. Do the Dharma. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. If we allow people in any aspect of our lives, whether it be yoga, the government, politicians, education, medicine, if we allow a cabal, a secret group of people to come in and hijack our own free will, our own ability to play by the rules and fairness, then we've lost our world. We've lost our world. What's right is right, and what is wrong is wrong. What is popular is not always right, and what is right is not always popular. It doesn't matter how many subscribers somebody has on their Instagram or their YouTube channel, doesn't make them a good teacher. Yes, we are aware that bots have been bought. Yes, we have been threatened by other yoga teachers. We have those messages, and we are more than happy to eventually share them publicly so you can see if your yoga teacher has been threatening other people. We will do the right thing. And we are begging these 5 people If you think you're certifiable material, then do the right thing. Do the right thing. Give it back. Apologize to Saraswati. Give it back. Apologize to Saraswati. If you stand on your principles and your values of how terrible white privilege is and cultural appropriation and listening to all women, then prove it to the community. And please give back the fraudulent certification and apologize to Saraswati. She deserves our respect. That woman is one of the fiercest women that I have ever met. She was born into this. And she is far better of a human than any of us are because she has maintained her dignity. While you guys basically slapped her across the face, spit in her face, and took this fraudulent certification, she has maintained her dignity. Do you have no shame? Do you have no shame? Do the right thing. If you want to come on my channel and talk about it, I offered that before. You're more than welcome to. Todd will talk to you on his channel, my Todd Roderick, not Todd Bowman, Todd Bowman, you can come on and talk to us too. More than happy to have you guys come on and talk about it and redeem yourselves. Just blocking us isn't gonna, this isn't gonna go away because what you've taken is a part of ours as well. What you do in Miami, what you do in Canada at your own shalas, that's your business, even though I'm going to call out these because that's fascism. But, if you want to form a cult in Miami, which there are allegations on Reddit, I know Reddit's a cesspool of craziness, but there are some pretty alarming allegations already on Reddit about what's going on at Miami Life Center. I'm just going to say they're allegations. It's very concerning, but that's your business because that's Miami Life Center. But what you took in India affects all of us, and more importantly, the Joyce family. So this is our business. Your certifications are our business. Your fraudulent certifications are our business. What you do in your home shala. So I'm asking you, please, for the love of God, do the right thing. Do the right thing. If you are certifiable material, you will do. The more you double down, the more you're proving to the world that you're not certifiable material. Do the right thing. Give it back and apologize to Saraswati. And I ask all of you guys watching right now, this is a real life conspiracy that I personally am living through. It's sad. If you have been affected through the 5 years you've been on this channel with me, if you've been affected positively by any of the teachings, spiritual teachings that I've given, then please know that that comes from this institution that's being hijacked right now in India by some bad actors. So please share. If you would so kindly share this video, share this message, share Mariela's podcast, share Todd's Instagram, share Todd's videos. Help us right this wrong so that we can preserve the true teachings of yoga that has helped people and transformed lives for thousands and thousands of years. God bless you guys. And one more time, for those in the back who didn't hear, give it back and apologize to Saraswati.
Let me